So we've got this Belimo, as you're calling it, a room sensor, right? So it looks like a thermostat. We're intentionally not going to take it out of the box just yet because you're going to show us some cool things. But what is the actual application of this? It's not a true thermostat, so where would we be using this?
So more so commercial applications, but you could use it residentially if you had some type of control system.
Mm-hmm.
But the ability of this device is that it can do temperature, but usually they're embedded with other things that they can sense. So this one does temperature and RH at the same time, so we can do humidity, and we have some that have temperature, humidity, and CO2, so you can get this indoor air quality device all in one rather than have 3 separate devices to measure.
Right.
And because it's got a display on it, the user or the occupant can now see live what is occurring in their space, right?
So we're looking at using this here in the lab, and obviously we're testing this in a house, or my house, right?
Yes,
we're looking at using this also for chilled beam applications, right? Where we can actually monitor the humidity. Like, would this be the same device we're going to use in that application?
Sure. I mean, it's going to sense the space humidity, right?
Yep.
You're not trying to sense humidity within the...
Correct. So you've supplied us with one of these as well as one of your dew point controllers. So the idea of that being is we're going to monitor the humidity and temperature in the space. We're going to do an actual chilled beam, which we would normally never do in Ontario for a whole bunch of reasons in a house, mainly just being cost, right? The controls to do it. But we're trying to figure out a way to do it cost effectively with Belimo products. This would do that.
Right. Now, I can't remember, DJ, some of our humidity devices have the ability to choose how you want to measure the wet, right? Do you want to measure RH? Do you want to measure grains of moisture? Do you want to measure dew point? Do you want to measure enthalpy?
So this one is RH, absolute humidity, and dew point.
Yeah.
So,
So this is the one that you've provided for the chilled beam application at my place. It's just not been put in.
Right.
So,
And the extra little piece of this is that this one's also backnet and Modbus.
Yeah.
So you do have network capabilities if you so choose to integrate that to, there's a lot of home automation systems that are really good.
well, if you look at the equipment here, this is Modbus. This has a Modbus interface we can put on all the equipment in our other training room is Modbus.
Yeah, so this could speak Modbus directly to that. Yeah.
So one of the things that's really cool about this that you were talking about, we just wanted to capture is the ability, like we showed earlier on the meter, that we have the ability to actually update the settings on the meter without it even being powered. That just blows my mind, right? Like it's how many times you need that, but if you had, let's say, 100 of these and you were putting them into a building and you wanted to configure them, I'm going to open it up, I'm going to put it on the wall, I'm going to wire it.
Right.
Now with you guys, you want to just quickly show us what you're
So
capable of
flip
doing?
the box over, right? Same app, so it's the Belimo Assistant app. I hit the recover. It loads the device profile. Go into settings to configure. I've got things like application where I can put the device location, whether the units that I want it to be temperature control, VAV, fan coil, or just a sensor. So here I'll choose fan coil because it's a close application.
Yeah.
Do I want the room temperature to be visible? That's an option. I mean, there are cases where you want to hide the room temperature. Right?
100% agree, especially in a commercial application where people go, I think I'm cold. If you have a temperature showing, it's a problem. Just don't show it.
Exactly. Then I've got, relative humidity, whether you want that to be visible, the display background, whether it's white or black. It's got
the opacity of it.
It's got an
Very
e-paper
cool.
display, so that display will stay. It'll display the last known values after being, the power is removed. It's like a Kindle essentially in that regard.
Yeah.
Very low power. So then you've got also display ventilation stages. So because this is BACnet, it has the ability to store a lot of extra data, to give you a lot of extra data. So you can say that, the thermostat is asking the temperature sensor is asking for a high speed on the fan. Well, this can do up to, I believe, 7 stages on fan. So it can give you that. So you can control, say, an ECM fan to speed up or slow down based on that type of device. It's got a boost button, so I mean a lot of equipment has a boost button these days to kind of give you a short-term cool me down
Our
really fast.
variable speed heat pumps has that functionality. You can
Right.
boost that output significantly. It's almost a ton of capacity that you can boost that.
Right, and even the option to have an eco button there, so you can program that eco button to do something in your program settings on your BMS or other equipment. The ventilation mode, so you've got manual only, auto manual combined. Go in, you can use degrees Celsius or degrees Fahrenheit, or as I like to call them, freedom units. And then
Freedom units.
right, and then you can pre-configure your backnet so that when you plug it onto your backnet or Modbus or MP, which is Belimo's proprietary bus that we use, and some other integrators also use to help integrate our products.
Mm-hmm.
And then pre-configuring that allows you to maybe write the room number on it and give it to your contractor to install, and it's already ready to go on your network.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, there's a distinction between the guy installing it and the guy that's doing all the software setup on it. I can say that because I've done both.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to just have 100 of these, like even in our controlled environment, we're going to load these up,
Right.
pre-configure them, and then when you get to site, you're just going to wire them up. Follow the wiring diagram. Once they're online, you're ready to go.
Absolutely.
That's
So
cool.
once you're done setting it up, configuring it, we hit the right button, we hit right again, drop it back on top, and that quickly it's written. So now when this is powered up, it is now powered up with the settings that you've chosen.
Yeah.
And inside the box, what you see is, this is how it was when it left the factory, so it hasn't, as soon as we power it up, it would change the display based on what you put in this app.
Right. As you
So-
say, like the Kindle, right? It's going to show whatever was last on, and as soon as
Right.
it powers up, it
Yeah.
pulls the new data.
The fan speed settings would be there because we've chosen to show those. It would switch over to Celsius because we've chosen that. And it would, add the other display elements as necessary. So very, very quick. Wiring is, again, simple if you want to get into that detail. Just like a lot of our other products, it has the spring connectors, so you're able to insert the wires very easily.
No screws.
No screws to turn. So as long as you've got a stripped wire, bring it in through the back, and once it is finished, it is a simple drop it on and seat it on the wall, and it should just clip right in place. And now that would be, if we were powered, it would be ready to go. But,
Yeah, very cool.
yeah.
Very
Very,
cool.
very simple, and for, you, can we talk about that part? So for,
Well, it's priced to be competitive in the market with other
Right.
controllers like that, but with those added enhancements at that same price point. So,
right,
you know,
exactly.
And then how many contact closures could this actually handle, right, on the actual
So-
device itself?
This one, I believe, where it's a network type, it is, it'll handle a binary input. I don't believe it has any physical outputs. It's
And is there
all-
any models that have physical contacts?
So we have physical contacts. I believe the highest is 3
Okay.
contact closures.
Yeah, so what I'm looking at is I really like the functionality of that. And again, as we sort of work on the lab and going expanding beyond the traditional methods of doing things, we have traditional thermostats, traditional relay boxes, and the more you show me stuff, the more I go, I think we can take things off the wall and do it different.
And especially if you have a sort of a network communication bus embedded in some of the equipment that you have,
Right.
that could easily be an auxiliary device to that communication already.
Yep.
Because what we do see is a lot of manufacturers so excited about building the communication language for their particular piece of equipment, but not necessarily considering that it has to talk to other pieces.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and as we've talked about before, right, the whole point of us bringing these products in, and obviously appreciate Belimo supporting Team Eden, is we're not testing this box, we're not testing your device. We're collaborating to test as part of the system, because the fact that we have 2 people on staff, me being one of them with a software engineering background, is we can make all these devices talk to each other, but it's not just about making them talk to each other, it's actually stepping back and going, does this make sense, right? If we can make it all talk together and it costs 10 grand, there's no point in doing it. But what we're discovering is that what we're able to do here, it doesn't cost 10 grand.
No.
And by including you guys and contractors like FAR and GTA, Heat and Cortez and others that come here to be part of it, we're figuring out cool things.
Well, here's another good Robert Bean quote that we've used in the past. You're really designing this for people. And remember that. It's for people, right? So yes, we're putting all this stuff together, but how is it going to help people?
Yeah.
It has to work together. It has to provide that sustainability. It has to give them the values that they were hoping you would address when you designed it for them. So Yeah, remember it's for people.
Right. Well, it comes back to my saying of people before profits. It
Right,
comes into a
exactly.
lot of play.
Yeah.
But the reality is that if we can use a control like this, if we can integrate this control where it can communicate directly to this air to water or our IBC air to water, and if it ends up being $50 or $100 more, but it impacts the performance of that equipment every single day that it runs, it's not any more money. Right? That's the biggest argument that I have with people is even if this is $500 more, if I can knock $50 off your hydro bill every single month, it's a non-starter. But you can't go out and tell somebody, anecdotally, DJ and Rick and I think this is going to work. That's why we have Measurement Canada certified meters. We have equipment here. We have experts here. We're going to test it here so that when we go out and tell Robert Bean that this is going to work, we actually have some data to support it.
Yep.
That's very cool. Very cool.